This video covers some of the instrument functions, commands, and the Prism options within Trimble Access. So if we click the instrument icon, we can see that we access the instrument functions, and here we can change things like, for instance, the standard measurement mode to tracking measurement mode, which was generally what we use for detail survey. We can enable the video or the track light depending on whether we're using an S5 or an S7 total station. We can turn on the class 2 laser option. Reflectorless measurement can also be enabled through here. The most useful and frequently accessed commands are the joystick, enabling the auto lock, and searching. We can enable any of these to be a function key on the TSE7 and TSE5s by hitting the favorites option and selecting a function, and we can now assign, for instance, the joystick or search, in this case, to F6, and then any time that we choose F6, then it will automatically search. To get into the detailed settings of any of these commands, then we long press. So if we want to long press on the search command, then we can see that we access. So let's do that again. So we long press, and we can see that we can enable things like snap to target, the size of the search window, whether we have GPS search on and off. But we won't go into the details of these settings just now. Alongside the instrument command, we have the Prism command, or Prism options. So we can hit the Prism icon, and here we can select the individual prism that we're going to use. We can add a prism, and we can also go into the detailed settings of a prism. So for instance, if I want to go into the detailed settings for the MT1000, then we can just choose edit. So we select it, and then we go back in and we choose edit. And I can enable the active mode if we're using the battery. I can set the channel that we're going to use. So that's the dial on the bottom of the prism. And we can also change the name and change where we're measuring to. So if this was on a traverse kit, then we could change it to the S notch, but almost always an MT1000 will be on true height. So that is the Prism options. You'll also notice that the icons change at the top depending on what we've got enabled. So for instance, if I do put it into reflectorless mode, then it will automatically choose the target DR, and the icons will change accordingly. So we can see here that the icon changes to a red dot, and what it's effectively doing is selecting this prism. If we enable auto lock, then we'll see that the spinning prism spins round to show that we're in auto lock mode. If we actually lock onto a prism, so this is an S7, so I'm just going to use the video here, and I'm just going to lock onto a prism that's just to the back of the room, and I will enable it for the ball prism.
Target locked.
Then when we're locked on, what we'll see is a line coming out of the instrument showing that we're locked, and we'll see the padlock beside the prism to show that we're locked onto that target. So that's just a quick introduction to the instrument functions, commands, and the Prism options.